Potatoes. You had potatoes for breakfast. This is the most Polish thing I've ever heard. Do you want a clap for the...
Yes, please.
So hey everybody, welcome to Technology in Renewables, episode number 4. I'm here with Chris Darby. Hey Chris.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing okay. Chris is from ev.energy. Chris, good to have you here on the show.
Thanks, it's great to be here.
Tell me, I would like to ask you a couple of things. Firstly, about your company. So when did you guys start it, and what you guys do, if you can explain for our audience.
Yeah, sure. So ev.energy was founded about 4 years ago. It was started by myself and my co-founder Nick Woolley, and there was us two and 30 Tesla drivers who wanted to do the right thing for the grid. Is where we started out. And now, 4 years later, we have about 70,000 odd EVs across the globe connected to ev.energy. And what we do with those EVs is we make it simpler, greener and cheaper for everyone involved. So for the driver, it's really, really simple. They come home, they plug their car in, and then ev.energy takes over, making sure it's charged for the next morning. It's greener because we match it with renewable energy, either the solar panels on their roof or what's available on the grid. Right. And then we save them money by bidding into grid flexibility or working with the utilities in time of day rates and things like that.
All right, so sounds a bit complicated, but I guess it's a very beneficial thing for drivers. So what does driver have out of your app? So I guess it saves money.
Yeah.
Right? And he's kind of feeling good because then he is like the way the vehicle is being charged is more like green and climate positive, right?
Exactly right. Yeah.
But drivers are not the only ones that actually benefit of your ecosystem, right? So,
exactly.
So who like when it comes to your business model and the company, so who else you guys work with? Who benefits?
Sure. So we always start with the driver because the driver is the most important person.
Correct.
They need their car to get to work, to get to school, whatever it is. It's important for them. No one maybe you and I buy an EV because we think they're cool and we like the tech and we want to charge our car. But most people, they buy an EV because they want to get from A to B. And so that's where we have to start. And so we do make it really, really simple for the driver to connect their car up to the app, to set the time they need their car ready by. But then aggregating all these vehicles up is a great distributed energy resource that's available for the grid. And that could be energy retailers, it could be full stack utilities doing everything from generation, it could be the grid operator, it could be generators, especially renewable energy generators. So our business model relies on those folks paying us to manage the energy of every one of the drivers in their territory. So the driver themselves, the service is free to them. So they just have this great service that says your car will be ready tomorrow morning, don't worry about it. Maybe they even get rewarded for being part of a flexibility program, and that's all funded by the grid or by the energy company.
So from as you mentioned, 10, 20 drivers to 70,000 vehicles within your network. You guys are based in UK mostly, right? So tell me, what's your what do you do here at the DTech? Why Distributed Tech is actually interesting for you guys?
Yeah, well, I mean, Distributed Tech, we're in Dallas, Texas, which is the most innovative, arguably, energy market in North America. It's also the craziest,
sure.
Some might say. And it's also quite similar to the European market. So you have competitive retail here, you've got the REPs, you can switch energy providers. That's the environment in which ev.energy was formed. Okay. This environment of competitive retail. And so we've been able to hone our proposition to make it interesting for retailers because, you're solving a problem for the energy driver, for the EV driver. You're solving a problem for the EV driver, but also you can do more. You can do things like, well, if you are an EV driver and you switch to me, I'm going to get more kilowatt hours that I can sell to you. So maybe I'm willing to pay a bit more for that driver. So maybe I'll do some sort of incentive. And ev.energy is the platform that enables that to happen. So we can identify EV drivers in Texas. We can then create interesting propositions for the REPs in Texas. And then we can serve those customers better. And DTEC is not just Texas; it's the whole of the US, right? It's in fact it's the whole of North America. And we have customers, utilities down in California. We've got Silicon Valley Clean Energy, Marin Clean Energy down there. We've got Southern Company with Alabama Power. We're working with Madison Gas and Electric,
right, okay.
And even up in the Northeast with National Grid as well.
So it's all extremely exciting, and congratulations again.
Thanks.
You guys are doing an amazing job when it comes to like growing and populating this concept within more and more end customers, which is the EV driver. So smart charging. How does smart charging work? Like in principle, if you can tell a bit more, what stands behind the technology?
Sure. So talked a little bit about the EV driver. And the EV driver, to get set up on smart charging, they need to have something that can be controlled.
All right.
And we don't mind what that is. It can be either end of the cable, so it could be the car, the telematics in the vehicle, or it can be the charger, the EVSE, the internet connected charger. And once we have that asset, that tells us how much energy might be needed, and enables us to control the flow of energy as well. And smart charging is all about taking that window of opportunity from when the car's plugged in to when the car's unplugged, which typically is somewhere around 10, 12, 14 hours. And optimizing for when the energy is cheapest or greenest or least congested grid in that time frame. And so we take the signals from those devices, we then talk to the grid, talk to the energy providers, and we get a profile from then of when is best for energy to be consumed. That might be just the mix of their generation over the next 12 hours.
Sure.
And we then pause the charging, wait till that mix is optimal, or wait till there's no congestion on the grid, or wait till the price is lowest, and we start charging, and we get that vehicle charged in time for the ready buy time of the customer.
So should I be worried as a driver that my car won't be, I'll change my mind when it comes to my next day schedule.
Yeah.
Should I be worried that my car might not be, effectively charged up, or like can I change my decision as a driver?
Yeah, absolutely. So we enable you to change your regular schedule. So maybe weekdays you've got to get really early, so you've got to go to the office, or maybe you're hybrid working, so you're just working a few days a week in the office. So you can set your ready by time for 6, 7 a.m. on those days. And then other days you can set it to 8, 9, whatever you want. And then if for some reason you've got to change your mind, there's a boost button.
All right. Okay.
So the two things the app does is, when do I need my car ready by, and oh crap, I made a mistake. We need to override that, get charging right away.
Which completely makes sense. The other thing that I just really wanted to ask you is the concept of V2H, which is vehicle to home. I know that you guys have been talking about it, and you and I talked about it a bit earlier. So why do you think it's interesting? And what are your plans regarding the vehicle to home technology?
Yeah, so people have been talking about vehicle to grid for a heck of a long time.
Sure.
And there's lots of kind of experimental proof of concept. Yeah, we can sort of do it. It sort of makes some sense. But if you think convincing people that managed charging is a hurdle, convincing them to let their battery discharge, especially at 4, 5, 6 in the afternoon, that's tough. However, vehicle to home is a bit of a different proposition for me. So the way that I see vehicle to home being really powerful is if you have a customer who is on not the most reliable supply, maybe they're having outages once every year, 2 years, something like that for a few hours. Actually, if they've got a vehicle parked outside with a battery in it that could power their fridge, maybe Netflix or something, just something to get them through 6 or 7 hours. It's not going to run your whole home for a week, but it's going to give you enough that you don't need to go and invest in that like LPG generator upgrade for your home or whatever. And the more we talk to customers who are getting these new vehicles, so thinking about the F-150 Lightning, thinking about the Hyundai Ioniq 5, which supports vehicle to home in some capacity, the more they're seeing the possibility. And it's not perfect. Like, the way I think about it is, if I had an F-150 Lightning and the power went out, I would get a 100-foot lead out, I'd plug it into my car, I'd run it to the kitchen, and the refrigerator would be fine. So I'm not saying that everyone needs to get a big panel upgrade to be able to do this, but I think there is a real value proposition there. And it's tapping into a really emotive problem. Like, when the power goes out, it really hurts, especially if you've got a family.
100%.
So I think that's the opportunity there.
The value proposition for V2H is constantly evolving, especially as we see the outages and energy efficiency, especially for residential customers.
And when you think about how much energy your lighting circuits use today, and the small appliances that you have on the TV, whatever, you got a lot of mileage to, excuse the pun, in your vehicle battery.
100%, completely agree. Well, it's also not a surprise that ev.energy and Codibly are collaborating together And I'm so excited that us as a company can be such a big part of the huge innovation that you guys are doing.
I appreciate it.
If you can tell a little bit more the experience and what value you see in actually our collaboration, that would be really cool as well.
Yeah, so I think, look, I came from a consulting background,
Sure.
and so I understand intrinsically, or at least theoretically, what's the value of an external party going to provide. And look, I'm pretty skeptical of outsourcing agencies as a concept, and I think the relationship we have with Codibly is different to that. There's a few reasons why. So I think if you just go for straight outsourcing or like a build to spec type of approach, you will get something that hits that spec and nothing more. No one wants to think about, this project is over, right? We just walk away from this thing.
Sure.
And that's, maybe it's really good to prove the concept, but a lot of the things we're building today are things we're able to rely on in the future, and we want to make sure we've got that future-proof element. So that's something that we don't have with Codibly. It's much more collaborative. It's much more, it's more of a two-way conversation. There's more openness to challenge, and that's just a cultural thing.
Sure.
And then I think also the expertise that you folks have in the energy industry. I think that's really valuable. You understand, when we say OCPP, we talk to each other in the same language.
Sure.
When we talk about EVs and EVSEs, I don't have to do an educational seminar on what these things are. And it sounds silly, but that stuff's really valuable. Like, why do we think about things in half-hourly chunks? Well, you folks understand that's how energy is settled in the market.
Sure.
And so there's so much value of working with a partner who is an expert in this space versus just working with a generic contractor or agency who maybe they'll have the right culture, but they just don't have that knowledge as well. So it's a combination of both the culture and the knowledge of the industry.
Which I'm so happy to hear, and again, we are so happy to be a partner of yours as well, especially from the technology standpoint. Chris, the next big thing, just wrapping everything up, the next big thing for ev.energy.
Well, I think we have our goal to reach 1 million users in the next 2 years.
All right.
We're heading towards 100,000 now, so it's not out of reach, but it is a big stretch.
Sure.
The great thing about EVs is the market is growing rapidly. Every expectation is being smashed year after year, so that's brilliant. And we're really riding that wave of EV adoption across the globe. So expect more countries, expect more models of EVs, expect more load under management. The only challenge that I see is you will be acutely aware of what's happening in your neighbour's country,
Sure.
and that is affecting the energy industry across Europe and across the UK.
Sure. Well, it's going to be a huge accelerator. I mean, already is, right? Because the whole Ukrainian war and the whole Russian aggression on Ukraine is basically proving how dependent we are in terms of the energy sources. So that's really, well, in the whole really terrible things that are happening, this is really kind of a positive outcome if we kind of can frame it like that.
Absolutely.
The energy transition more as thorough, self-sufficient and greener way, and independent way, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great opportunity for us to be less focused on gas. It also gives us an opportunity to stop thinking about gas as the transition fuel. So I'm excited, in a sense, that will happen. It's not for the right reasons, but at least there is a silver lining to this pretty stormy cloud. But it does mean that at the moment the utilities in Europe are really focused on literally keeping the lights on. And so those things do present a challenge as well. So that's why we're here in the US. We've got a lot of US customers, a lot of US drivers that we're working with, and excited to keep proving this is valuable, no matter the type of grid, no matter the way your industry is structured, and bring on the rest of the world. We've got Australia, we've got Asia, we've got so many other countries we could be in. So
that's great. Well, I'm excited to hear the whole expansion plan and already current success. So keeping my fingers crossed for you guys. Everybody, thank you very much. Chris, thank you very much. If you want to reach Chris, obviously it's ev.energy, pretty simple, yet really powerful when it comes to the concept and the platform. And you can download the app on Android and iOS.
You absolutely
and just start,
Yeah.
enroll and just use the ecosystem. Guys, thank you very much. Looking forward to the next episode. And Chris, thank you for your time again.
Thanks, Bart. Cheers.
All right, thank you.
Cheers. A lot of potatoes.
I think so. Thank you very much.